Do I think the left fucked up by letting the progressives win the culture war? Yes, I think they did, because I don't think the progressives actually represent most people. And now, unfortunately, they've convinced a bunch of young, stupid kids that they do. And so a bunch of kids put like a black box in their Instagram to pretend that they care about black people, but they still find like the unk biking down the highway with like loud music annoying and stuff like that, right? Like in all ways, there's this performance that I think has ransacked the left in a way that I think is repugnant. The issue is that the real question is, why be left? And the reason that I'm left is because when I go all the way back and I look at the systems that I believe in, I fundamentally keep falling left. I just fundamentally do. And so then the only question is, I guess I have to fight for what I believe in within the group, right?
My opinion is that the most logical, rational place for you to be would be voting for Donald Trump. And you're choosing not to, and you're just coming up with the reasons why it can sound like you're still part of that tribe.
Nope, because I don't believe in what I think Trump advocates for. Like, I fundamentally think that Trump doesn't reflect my values.
So you have in the Trump coalition, RFK Jr., which is a predominantly left health worldview that was dominant for decades. That is, people criticize him on vaccine stuff, but he's been pro-vaccine the whole time, even recommending the MMR vaccine. And no artificial food dyes. The health craze was a left culture war my whole life until these past several years. The right started picking up these things because the left had abandoned it and started siding with weird corporate interests on foodstuffs.
Yeah, partisan hacks are bad.
Tulsi Gabbard is anti-military industrial complex, anti-interventionist, and anti-regime change, which has been a position of the left my whole life. And so I look at Donald Trump and he says, we want a border barrier. That was Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders' position even up to 2016. And so looking at what Donald Trump is offering, he's moderate on abortion to the chagrin of conservatives. He's got left coded anti-war, which is not left anymore. I don't know. Now they're pro-war, I guess, pro-war with Ukraine. Donald Trump may be moderate right-leaning on a lot of issues, and he's built a moderate left-leaning coalition that satisfies a lot of my liberal policy views. So it makes literally no sense, in my opinion, then, for someone to be like, to defend the Constitution, we're going to support the Democrats. And I'm like, yeah, they arrested Trump's lawyers. That's unconstitutional. That's like an egregious violation of institutions and norms in this country. And they did it in numerous states. They falsely accused Trump of several crimes. They violated statute of limitations. Now you've got Letitia James falsely accusing Trump of mortgage fraud for paperwork he didn't even handle. And what I view as the divide between left and right, once again, going back to why young men are leaving, this is what I was saying to Bill Maher. You are left or right not based on your policy views. You are left or right based on what you believe to be true. And Bill agreed, despite the fact that we believe different things. So, for instance, he said, yeah, Trump wasn't a Russian agent, but he was certainly working with the Russians, and he lied. And when I brought up the Ukraine scandal, he didn't know about it. He did not know that in 2017, Politico reported at the same time as they were accusing Trump of colluding with Russia, Ukraine and the Democrats were literally colluding to assist Hillary Clinton to win, and it backfired, and it caused problems. We had Hunter Avallone on Timcast IRL, and when I pointed out that Joe Biden said, quote, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 billion, he immediately smirked and said, it never happened. And I played the video for him, and he was like, duh, no idea that it happened. So what I typically run into is liberals tend not to know what's going on in the world. And probably the reason why they're scared to do shows is because they default to, I didn't know that. And so we've even offered up certain friendly liberal personalities. I'll leave their name out of it because I'm not going to try and drag them, who, dirtbag leftist types. They're anti-woke, but they're leftist politically. They cancel on us all the time because they know they're going to sit down and they're going to end up sounding like Alex Jones. I'm going to pull up an article from the New York Times that says a Ukraine court ruled that they illegally interfered in the U.S. election to aid the Democrats. And they're going to have to reconcile with that and say, yes, that happened. But then when they go back to their Democrat circles, they're going to say, how dare you make that claim?
Well, I was actually like a Yang Gang kind of guy leading up to the 2020 election. And something that turned me back towards Trump was just like you're saying. I started seeing all these articles. A couple of them I think you covered on your show. Remember the one about there's a video of Trump. There may or may not be a video of Trump in an elevator.
I love that one, dude.
It's like the most bizarre headline I've ever heard. It's a great one. Then another one was... of course, the one you just went over with Adam Conover. That clip was going everywhere.
Look at this.
There were great people on both sides.
Come on. Huffington Post.
it's the
A tape
greatest.
might exist of Trump doing something in an elevator. Though exactly where that somewhere is and what that something might be, no one in media can say. That's because no one in media seems to have seen the tape or is even confident it exists. Yo, Huffington Post literally wrote an article about Trump may or may not have done something that may have been recorded. We don't know if it was recorded. We don't know what it is.
Yep. And then another my top three. Those are my three favorite ones. That one, there were good people on both sides, and then the Trump puts ketchup on his steak.
Right.
And
So
that one hit home for me because I grew up like dirt poor. There's 8 kids in my family.
Let's try this one.
I put ketchup on my steak because we were eating cheap steak.
I'm actually going to make the bet you'll get it right. Did Donald Trump call white supremacists fine people?
I don't think so.
What did he say?
I can't remember. I just my assumption is that it's clip-baited because most things about Trump are.
Joe Biden launched his 2020 campaign claiming that Donald Trump called white supremacists fine people, which he never did. It's fake. And
What was the actual I don't know.
During Charlottesville, Trump said, I've seen the videos and there were very fine people on both sides. And I am not talking about the white nationalists and neo-Nazis because they should be condemned totally.
Gotcha.
And the entirety of the Democrat-aligned media apparatus cut off the back half of the quote and showed Trump saying, very fine people on both sides, clip, and then showing white nationalists marching with tiki torches.
Gotcha.
And that was how Joe Biden launched his campaign. And this is why I say, I consider myself to be like moderately pro-choice. So where Democrats were with safe, legal, and rare, I think abortion is wrong. I think it is a bad thing. But I also don't know how you get to a governmental system where a woman has to get a court writ to be able to have any kind of medical procedure. The end result, of course, is this. I don't want to. You always got to rehash the abortion debate because people don't understand the nuance. But you end up with a system where it's like a woman goes to the doctor and they're like, "Heavens me, you're having an emergency. Insert something. We have to terminate the baby to save your life," like unrelated to the pregnancy. And it's like, okay, let's try and get a speedy writ from a judge to confirm this.
Sure. So,
But the medical abortions has never really been a problem, though.
So my point
I
is,
understand.
the end result is that you get people abusing the system. So this is the challenge in trying to find a compromise. But without rehashing the abortion debate, my point is, the left's position is abortion up to 9 months for any reason, no matter what.
Well, if I could put a,
this is actually what I want to kind of discuss. So
I
I
would
think
say if we had more programs to help after, I'd be fine with that too.
But look at Colorado.
Not to rehash those
Colorado removed all restriction on abortion up to 9 months,
right, which is what Canada has as well, right?
which is insane.
Well, the issue is that in Canada, that basically never happens as a result of it. Right?
Doesn't matter.
So
Like, why legalize murder and then be like, yeah, but people don't get murdered, so we're going to legalize it? What?
probably because this fundamentally should be more of a congressional issue, right? Like the fact that Roe went through the judicial system in the first place is probably fundamentally part of the problem, right? And so
I disagree.
here's what I would maybe zoom out to. We're talking about partisan hacks, right? It's really annoying to talk to partisan hacks. As somebody who's left-leaning, but I'm not really a partisan hack because I don't have a buy-in on your guys' election. Fundamentally, I'm not voting, right? So I don't care about Biden or Kamala because they represent X party. And you know, I'm sure you're familiar. The left wouldn't even acknowledge that like Biden was kind of weird because he would like had a bunch of clips like kind of like sniffing kids.
Sniffing little girls.
Yeah, it's weird. It's fucking weird. It's super, super weird. The issue is that on the right, I'm now hearing people unironically saying, I don't care about the Constitution. And if Donald Trump wants to get rid of the Constitution, that's fine with me. And it's like, all of this is crazy town.
Yeah, but that's not Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro or who else do we have? Steven Crowder or,
Sure, we have different things like, for example, getting really mad at like certain violent jokes from the other side, but then celebrating the same types of violent jokes on your side. I think both sides.
But what he's saying is like the mainstream pundits are the ones pushing for the crazy ideology
talking about the
on the
mainstream
left
pundits.
and
Mainstream pundits are doing
Democrats
these
and
types of
party
jokes.
members too.
Right.
And that's why I asked you what I asked you earlier when I was like, well, how are you saying that you're like identifying moderate left, but some of the positions that you're holding, the
right-wing.
majority of right wing would consider some of them extreme left, and then the rest of them are probably right.
Because when you put well, first of all, part of what I'm trying to say is we're not still talking to each other, right? Like I'm here and I'm defending far left positions. I don't hold any of these positions. There's lots of people around me that don't.
Why?
hold
Why
these.
don't defend them? I don't know.
Well, those are the only.
My
things.
point is that you're a conservative.
Yeah, I'm not a conservative.
You are.
I'm just not. I'm
see-
fundamentally not, right? I like Ezra Klein's abundance policies, right? I just
What is
like
that? What
this.
is that?
Ezra Klein.
His abundance. I know Ezra Klein, but
his abundance policies, for example, is very big on like basically removing a lot of proceduralism, figuring out like where the inefficiencies are, and making it the case that like blue states can build the things that they believe in, like green energy, high-speed rails, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Who disagrees?
Lots of people on the far left.
Steve Bannon wants to tax the rich. He thinks the billionaires should be taxed at 100%.
Sure, but then
Is he left wing?
I don't know much about Steve Bannon.
Well, he's considered like the architect of J6, a far-right white nationalist, which he's not, by the way. My point is left and right is not defined by your policies. It's defined by what you believe to be true.
I would say it's how you perform, mostly. It's how you appear.
I think it has to do,
guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Tim. I think it has to do with like the underlying culture of each side too.
That is how you
well.
perform, right? The underlying culture. You code switch really well with men, and you say things that are like
Code switch.
Yeah, code switch, right? Like I'm sure that when you
It's a left-coded language.
code switching, that is
The right doesn't say it.
Code switching is, I'm pretty sure, from black culture. It's definitely not a left-coded thing.
Continue, but I'm going to pull it up.
Code switching?
I love this article.
I'm a boomer. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's a black cultural thing.
Nope. I mean, maybe. Conservatives don't do this. White liberals present themselves as less competent in interactions with African Americans. The idea of like when Tim Walz was like, I can talk to white guys. Conservatives were like, huh? Because conservatives tend not to change their way they communicate for other groups of people.
Just like, just look into the origin. If we like need to have this fight, which we don't even need to. Code switching comes from the black culture, which is talking about black people who are existing in like academic spaces who have to code switch from like the way that black people talk and interact and culturally exist amongst each other to being super white. This is what code switching comes from. It's not even relevant. That's just what code switching is. What I'm talking about here is that when you're thinking about left and right, it is reducing on like what policies are. And that's part of my problem is that left and right should be policies. And the fact that it's performance-based, which you might argue that started with the left. Maybe it did. I'm not fully sure, but say it did. Say it did start with the left.
It goes back and forth, actually.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I think it's bad all around. I think it's harmful in every single way for people to look at me and go, she's got a choker and earpiece, so this is probably her worldview. It probably isn't. In fact, I think about my worldview. It's much more complex and nuanced. I think that we need to do that to each other. I need to go to Tim Pool and say, what do you believe? Because I know that you're not a stereotypical MAGA. I don't know what it is exactly.
That's right wing.
What?
What you just described, that ethos of let's talk. Let me put it this way. Carl Benjamin had a really great breakdown of my conversation with Adam Conover, and the clip that went massively viral, like Asmongold was talking about it, and he did a really funny bit, was I got exasperated after an hour and a half into the conversation where the dude was clearly not interested in truth. And, with all due respect, like Adam Conover, I think he was great in terms of wanting to come on the show and with respect, but politically.
He does not represent us, just so it's very
Sure,
clear.
but I mean,
but he probably represents the average. I mean, he probably
he's massive.
represents a typical lefty guy.
20 million views per video on left liberal content. He's got a new podcast. He's getting tons of views. He's doing tours. Granted, he got a lot of flack over that crypto thing. But anyway, the point is, I said the very fine people hoax, and he says, which is, and I said that Trump called Nazis fine people, and he goes, right. He said, there's very fine people on both sides. And then I immediately said, and not the neo-Nazis and white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. To his response, he said that, and I was like, yes, and I pulled up Snopes that said Trump never called them this, and his response was, I don't know anything about it. Immediately got called out by everybody saying, wait, you just quoted it. You literally just referenced the very fine people on both sides, which is what he was accused of saying, without citing the remainder of the quote. So you do know what this thing is. Now you're claiming you don't. Carl Benjamin pointed out, he said the ethos of the liberal is adhering to the tribe, to the social order. And he says, and Tim Pool, once of that social order, prioritizes the truth, which is what actually happened. So Tim is desperately trying to say, and I'm quoting Carl, not speaking in third person, this is what actually happened. Whereas Adam is trying to maintain his adherence to social orthodoxy, which I refer to as wokeness. He does not value truth. He values what needs to be said to create social cohesion, whereas I value truth over social cohesion. It's actually, I think, a masculine-feminine coded thing, actually. Women
I think that's true. And there's a question I'd like to pose about. I mean, do you think it's easier to change men's mind or women's mind?
Women's mind. There's like
you think so?
Yes. The meme that women just become the political system of their boyfriend and husband is like a classic on every single side. Like, yes, it is. Women just shift towards typically the opinion of the like people around them by and large. This is just unquestionable.
I would actually argue it's neutral, different. Men respond to different kinds of arguments, and women respond to different kinds of arguments. So, understanding the expectations that women have on average that are different, you can exploit either into believing whatever you want. Yeah,
I mean that's true. I just feel like intuitively, I haven't dug deep into it, but it was something I was thinking about, and it was a good segue into it. I just think intuitively, men are probably looking for, more logic and more reason-based solutions, or more. If you can prove it to me. Obviously, there's outliers and there's crazy people who are going to stick with it to the end.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon. So subscribe and come hang out.